So in this page, I want to show another very important clause in the SQL query. It's called having. Having denotes a condition on some groups. It usually follows this group by clause. And this having condition denotes some condition on the groups. So if so, then condition will apply for each group, and groups not satisfying this condition will be eliminated. For the having with some conditions, this condition may refer to any relation or type of variables in the from clause, and they may also refer to attributes of other relations of these relations as long as this attribute makes sense within a group. It can be either a grouping attribute or aggregated. So also be careful when writing the having on with some conditions. For the attributes appearing in the conditions, you also have some restrictions. So what is the semantic meaning for the having clause? We'll provide you with an example. So here in this page, we want to show you, we want to select the beer together with its average price from the sales table. However, we have some conditions. This condition is not on the records, on the tuples. Actually, this condition is on the groups. We group by beer, and we have some condition on these groups. We need to ensure having the count of bar larger than 3. So in other words, by dividing the tuples into groups, we need to ensure for each group we should have at least 3 bars. We also make an exception. All beer is a specific B as shown here. So this is condition. This having condition denotes some condition on the groups. It's different from the where clause. So I hope you can follow me right. For this example, we're doing this group by, and we will prune these groups. And then we do the select beer with average price. For the illegal groups, we will eliminate them before we do this aggregation as shown here. So by combining all everything together, we can show you the template for the SQL queries as shown in this page. Normally when we write queries, the template we can have is like this. We have select some desired attributes from some relations where with some condition. The C1 denotes condition. Group by some attributes A1 to AK, for example, having some condition C2. I hope you remember the restriction for the attributes appearing S here, right? These S attributes should be either aggregated or they appear in the group by this list. And for the attributes appearing in C2, this condition, they should also be either aggregated or appears in this group by this list. Also, the C1 condition is different from C2 condition. C1 is any condition on attributes in L1 to Rn. This is some condition before we do the grouping. We'll prune the tuples based on this condition C1 before we group by these attributes. This is the condition before we do the grouping. C2 is a condition after we do the grouping. It denotes some condition on the aggregate expressions or grouping attributes. So C1 is a condition before grouping, C2 is a condition after we do the grouping. So they are very different. So maybe it is very abstract for you. I can also show you the calculating process if we have query like this. We have select S from R1 to Rn, where C1 grouped by A1 to AK having C2. If we have a query like this, the evaluation of the calculating process will have several steps. When we see a query like this, the first step we'll do is compute the from where part and obtain a table with all the attributes in R1 to Rn. Here, when we compute the from where clause, in other words, we apply the C1, the condition, to prune some data tuples. Right? So far, we haven't done anything about the grouping yet. So the C1 will be used before we group these data tuples. The C1 will be used to the pre-pruning of data tuples. And then the step 2 will be the grouping based on attributes A1 to AK. And after we do the grouping, For all the groups, we have C2 denoting the conditions. We compute the aggregates in C2 and keep only the groups satisfying C2 conditions. In other words, this C2 condition will be used to eliminate some groups. You see the difference, right, between C1 and C2. And finally, we will calculate the aggregates in this select clause and return the results. So you see, C1 is used in step 1. We do the pre-pruning of tuples before we group. C2 is used after we do the group. C1 prunes the data tuples, however C2 prunes these groups. So they are very different. Okay, so this is about select from where these statements we can use to write the SQL queries. And besides the select from where these statements, we also show you with some different operators we can use to make this query more complex and more practical. So I hope you can follow me in these lectures, and you can also try these queries by yourself after class. And remember to install this MySQL software to practice these queries, and you can also do the practicing by using this SQL Zoom after class. So that's it for the SQL basics, and we will move to the SQL modification in the following lectures.